Hello, lords and ladies of the internet. I'm the King of Candor, and today I'm going to be talking about the worst advice I've ever been given as a dungeon master. I first started dungeon mastering about a decade ago, and I was self-taught. Back then, I worked at a gas station, Circle K, and one of my customers came in with a massive suitcase. He told me he was trying to sell it for $200. It contained $500 worth of Pathfinder rulebooks. I had never played a tabletop game, but I always wanted to, so I decided to buy it. Part of the deal was he was going to give me these dice and teach me how to play. He gave me the dice, and fun side story, apparently they were blessed by a witch at a crossroads before he gave them to me. I also slept with them under my pillow the first night, and I've had them, and I've rolled incredibly well ever since. Like, I'm talking multiple nat 20s a night kind of good. So back to the books. He never ended up teaching me how to play, but I had all these books, so me and a friend attempted to read all of them to figure out how the heck you played something like this. We quickly managed to figure out most of the books were simply additional rules, and we would get to them later. But, for the life of us, we really didn't know what to do to run a game. None of the books he gave me were modules, so we just kinda made up our own stories using the bestiaries we had. At this point, I decided to start looking online for advice on how to play. Speaking of online tabletop gaming content, if you like that type of content, don't forget to like and subscribe. So, I started looking around and found a lot of forums talking about advice for new game masters. Lots of it was basic stuff such as how to set up an antagonist, giving the party plenty of goals, and how to make sure you don't give out too much money. All very good advice. However, the piece of advice I saw given that was echoed all over the internet was always to say yes to your players. Now, this was right before 5th edition had come out. I believe it was just coming out, or they were doing that big beta test for it, and the culture of gaming back then was completely different. Back in the day, game masters used to be more like antagonists, and the players would attempt to beat them. A lot of the game masters had these powerful mega dungeons that no one could clear. At least that's the idea if you go to the forums. As such, a lot of petty tyrants existed amongst game masters. They would harangue players and use the rules to really beat them down, so they had fun while your players suffered. The outgrowth of this issue led to a lot of people having the advice that new dungeon masters should say yes to their players. On the surface, this is good advice. Obviously, you and the players want to contribute to a fun game for all, and saying yes to them increases the fun, right? However, I don't think these people have ever played with teenage boys. Those of you who are currently or have ever been teenage boys can attest that we like to screw with each other, and sometimes we're devious about it. So I kept saying yes because the advice said so, and it led to a lot of fights. I'm not playing with everybody that I was playing with back then, but back then the players had a lot of control over the table. I would basically say yes to anything because that's what the advice said to do. One player would ask, "Can I have 4 characters at once?" And I would be like, "Well, I suppose. I mean, why not?" And another character would ask, "Yo, can I get a gun?" "Yeah, I guess there are rules for guns, even though this setting doesn't have any. I guess you could be the guy who invented them." "Yo, can I use this race that I built using the race builder rules?" I suppose those rules have to be balanced, right? I don't see why that's a problem. "Hey man, do I really have to roll for stats? Can I just have 318 since I'm going to roll that most likely anyway?" I mean, yeah, I guess that would make the math easier. Things like this happened for the entire first game we ran, until a player pushed a little too far. He read a funny forum post online that said somebody used a mind control spell to enslave the town the player started in to work for them. He wanted to do it and naturally set up a brothel using the innkeeper's daughters. It was at this point I put my foot down and said, no, that would be evil. It would make paladins show up and attack you. Of course the players all pushed back and argued. Now, not all of them, but enough of the players did that I realized I had made some grievous error previously. It was at this point that I said I would no longer say yes to everything, and I would say no to everything, which did end up working out a lot better, but only until I'd managed to rein in the players. Obviously, moving to such an extreme didn't work out, but it helped set boundaries and allow us to meet in the middle more. Having more experience now, I would amend this advice, because saying yes to players can be fun, but you should also know when to put your foot down. My full advice would be open to players making suggestions or having an idea you don't, but do not let them compromise your fun or the other player's fun. Thankfully, this is closer to the advice given out usually online, instead of the say yes to everything. I know it's a short video, but Thanksgiving is coming up. I hope you all have an excellent Thanksgiving with your family, and that is all for today. Thank you for watching this far. If you enjoyed the content, I'd appreciate it if you like and subscribe. I'm looking forward to your candor in the comments below, and have a great day.